We're on a mission from God.
Wendy?
So I got that going for me.
Darling?
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Light of my life.
We enjoy your films.
I am a human being.
I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
Welcome to Vintage Video, where we're rewatching the 80s so you don't have to. We'll be reviewing every major film release of the 1980s in real time. I'm Patrick O'Reilly.
I'm Jesse Bayless.
And I'm Richard Wells.
And today marks the 40th anniversary of the release of Gorp on May 1st, 1980. It was written by Jeffrey Konvitz, based on a story by Jeffrey Konvitz and A. Martin Zweiback, directed by Joseph Ruben, and released by American International Pictures. Gorp killed American International Pictures.
Yes.
This is their last film. Although, we will be covering two more American International Pictures, The Visitor and How to Beat the High Cost of Living, which had later release dates in the U.S. But this was the nail in the coffin.
I am not surprised.
Alfred Hitchcock passed away day before yesterday, April 29th, 1980. This does not portend well. Gorp is an acronym for Good Old Raisins and Peanuts. It plays no part in the film at all.
Really? I don't get it. What does that mean?
I don't know. It's also technically Go Rap. I think Go Rap is an even weirder name for this movie. I don't know why this movie's called Gorp. No one even eats Gorp in this movie. There's not even like one shot of a person eating Gorp. Like, it makes less sense than when Eli Roth wanted to call Cabin Fever like country hams, because it says that on a sign at the store. It's like, why is this called Gorp? I don't understand. Anyway.
Is that a thing? Is that like a camp thing or something?
Never heard of it. I mean, I know it's a thing that runners eat because it's high energy.
Is that what
meal.
they call? Is that like, you know, when people say trail mix? Do they say Gorp? Do people say that?
They might. No one says it in this movie.
I've just never heard of it before.
Yeah, I only know it because of the IMDb trivia page. But yeah, so that's what this movie's called. That's all the production notes I have, other than like a little tidbit later. There's not much to be found about this movie.
There's not much about anything in this movie.
Yeah, I even found a book about American International Pictures, and the whole thing was just like a very glowing review of the movie and about how brilliant it was. And I was just
this movie?
Yes, I'm pretty sure it was just written by someone who was involved in the making of the film, because it was dumb.
Mr. Gorp.
Yeah, Mr. Gorp did it.
Gorp, tear down this wall.
This movie was incredibly difficult to get through.
Mr. Gorp, tear down this film. A van full of kids pulls up to an old cabin on a lake. The guys pile into the place. Mad Bobby Grossman runs past some of them and moons them from the top of the stairs. This is Dennis Quaid as like a half-assed Jim Carrey character.
I guess, but also like
very inconsistent.
Like he reminds me also of
D-Day from Animal House.
A little bit of D-Day and Tackleberry from Police Academy.
Okay, yeah, it seems like he's trying to play like the bad crazy guy and everything, but the character feels very disjointed from scene to scene. It doesn't feel like Dennis Quaid is completely committing to the character, which I think is part of the problem. Is that he seems like hesitant with all the weird stuff that he does, but I don't know that it would be better if he were fully committing to this.
Right. And we're getting him later in the Brothers Western, right?
Yes. And Randy.
It's just like, he's so strange in this.
Yeah.
And it's only a couple years later that he'll be in like The Right Stuff and Inner Space.
Yeah. It's not a good move from him. I feel like the Quaid people are keeping this movie out of the public eye. But they're not doing a very good job keeping Randy out of the public eye. Maybe it's just the Dennis Quaid people.
They used all their energy to wipe this movie off of the face of the earth, and then they don't have anything left.
They had nothing left to keep Randy secret. Steinberg takes a bathroom stall basically as his bunk, where he remains for almost the entire rest of the film. He never actually says a word. He's just some random nerdy character in a bathroom stall.
He sort of says.
Yeah, he has like.
He doesn't actually say the words though. It's sounds that are dubbed over his mouth.
Yes.
They're not coming out of him. Grossman has a very large gun and a bomb by his bed that he's constantly working on.
With no payoff.
No payoff at all. So, this is dumb. For some reason, this movie is about two guys. Like, the main character is two different guys.
Right.
Who look almost as the same anyways.
They look practically the same. They say all the same things, do all the same dumb stuff for the whole movie. It might as well have just been one character.
Because it's supposed to be that they have like a rivalry going, but
they're not different.
They're so friendly to each other
about
the rivalry, and they often go in on the rivalry at the same time together.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to do this together right now.
Yeah. But their names are Bergman and Kavell. I'm just going to call them the guys.
Yeah, that's fine.
For most of this movie. They approach a locker that is shaking in the bottom floor of their cabin, and they open it to find Caparello masturbating or having a seizure. They don't like stop to check and see if he's dying in there.
I did not. I was guessing what was happening.
Yeah.
But then I was like, all right.
I think that maybe the director had never masturbated before, and so he's just like, I don't know what it looks like when people are masturbating. Can you just shake? And he's like, that's not what it looks like. He's like, just shake, okay? I'm the director. But yeah, he's masturbating in this locker. Lobster is like the Eddie Deason character, and Fats is the fat kid, who I might just call Eddie Deason and the fat kid for the rest of this movie.
It was say, what's his name? Stephen Furst from Animal House.
Yeah, exactly. It's basically just Eddie Deason and Stephen Furst again, except for Eddie Deason here is like a ginger is the only difference. But other than that, he's exactly an Eddie Deason character. And they are sent on a mission to go take pictures of the girls arriving at camp. Fats breaks his camera immediately, but somehow Lobster gets perfect photographs of everything. Yeah. Federman introduces the boys to the kitchen. Federman is like their boss. He's like the Brian Doyle Murray and Caddyshack character that's like second in command at this camp. And he introduces them to these kitchen people who, like, these guys all worked as waiters last summer, so they know the kitchen staff already because they worked with them last summer. But they play it off like this is the first time they're meeting. And in rapid succession, we are introduced to Fred the chef, this big black guy that just doesn't talk to anybody.
Just slamming the meat cleaver down.
Yeah, he's like, looks like he's a maniac. And then suddenly, as soon as like Federman's gone, they're like all laughing with each other like they're all best friends. We have Andy on salads, who we basically never see again. A guy who's just sneezing into salad. And Indian Joe, who we never see again after this scene.
Well, we see him, but they don't have any...
They play no part in the film.
Yeah, we do see him sneezing multiple times into the salad throughout the film.
Yeah. We have Sweet Mo, who is the chef's assistant. That's Otis Day coming back for a second film in a row. And Mike the Pimp is the name of one of the characters. And he's apparently in charge of drying. Like, someone else does the washing, and then he literally just dries the dishes after they're washed. And he doesn't play a part after this. And then we have Wino Willie on beverages, who is bathing in a sink here.
Yeah, he's like scrubbing his feet in a full sink of water with he's got like a toilet scrubber that he's using to scrub his feet.
And he will be like the most prominent of the kitchen staff.
He reminds me of like a character that Booger would play now.
Yeah, but he would play it better.
He would. No, absolutely. Yeah.
Curtis Armstrong.
Yeah. And then I saved the worst for last. Bible Louie, who quote unquote handles the freezer. So I don't know what that means. Like, he puts things in it and takes things out of it. Seems like there's a real fucking easy kitchen to run if you can have a job that's literally just drying plates or taking things out of a freezer. But Lobster comes in and he hands off the pictures of the girls, and they basically just hand them all out, and everybody calls dibs on the girls from the pictures. Kavell and Bergman fight over the only 12 out of 10 super hot, attractive girl, I guess. She kind of looks like all the other girls in all of these pictures. And Bible Louie comes out and pretends that he's preaching for a while before cursing a bunch, which he will do 9 more times over the course of this movie. Walrus Wallman tells Federman what his plan is. That these are all crappy waiters, and they'll at least get the job done, but he's going to fine them every time they screw up, and he'll fine them so much that he'll never have to pay any of them. So he's basically getting free work out of these people. And he's promising Federman 10% of all the fines that he's able to collect from them, which basically means that he's paying Federman instead of the waiters, and he's only paying him 10% of what he'd have to pay a full wait staff. Bible Louie pretends to preach again, and then sucks on a naked picture of a girl after shouting,
And the Lord said, let there be bosom!
because the joke is that he's religious, but he says perverted things. That's the joke every time.
Anyway. I don't know.
Anyway,
I'm not sure what any of the jokes are in this movie. It is rough.
The problem is that it's trying so hard. Every single scene, the characters are trying extremely hard.
But are they trying hard? Because literally every scene is almost identical. Like every
I felt
scene,
like every character was getting a huge workout in every scene.
Yeah,
of this
but
movie.
every character does the same thing in every scene. That's why it's a workout. Because literally in almost every scene of this movie, it is just a bunch of dudes running around frantically screaming.
They're shouting
every
at the top
scene.
of their lungs.
Like you would just count them in a row. They are yelling in the kitchen. They're yelling in the dining room. They're yelling in their bunks, all just running around frantically. That's every scene of this movie.
Yeah, it seems like they thought that the louder you say a joke, the funnier it is. And I guarantee you every time they said cut on this movie, everyone had to sit on the floor and breathe for like 2 minutes. Because they're exerting themselves. I mean, I don't know if they're trying, but they're exerting themselves at least. In every single scene, everybody's running around full speed, using their whole body to act with, and none of it's funny.
Stuff's falling all over the ground, and they have to stumble over things all the time.
And every single character is in every single shot. So they're like, oh, you three guys, pretend his butt's stuck in a toilet. You, pretend that you're just smashing your head against that wall. That's funny. You, drop a bunch of bowls on the floor. That's funny when people do that. And it's none of the things are funny, but it just seems like they were trying to crowd the shots so you wouldn't notice that nothing is happening in any of the scenes. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so the next scene, Tony, Kavell, and Bergman go to a restaurant. Kavell and Bergman are hitting on the 12. Tony goes and finds Rosanna Arquette and starts dancing with her, and they will go on to have basically a Romeo-Juliet story in the film, because he's poor and Puerto Rican, and she is a self-described Jewish-American princess, heir to a deodorant fortune. And I did actually think there was one funny moment here where she explains that her family makes deodorant and that they're rich, and he immediately just puts his face in her armpit to smell it, and she starts laughing. Like, the two of them feel like the only genuine characters in this whole movie. Everyone else is like a caricature.
And they're really only in like 2 or 3 scenes.
Yeah, but in every scene, they're the best part of this whole movie that they were in. But yeah, so at a nearby booth, one of the bigger guys uses lobster's teeth to open a beer, and then he just holds his mouth and goes, ow, 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 for like a full 30 seconds, which the obvious joke here would be to have like blood pouring out of his mouth or show his teeth broken, but they never do that. There's never a reveal. There's no punchline to it. It's literally just, yeah, that probably would have hurt, and we never see an aftermath of it. Vicki Henderson, the 12, tells Mark and Jay, or Kavell and Bergman, that she does not fuck, but Evie Bennett, Fran Drescher across the table from her, says that she does. Back at the cabin, Kavell and Bergman are yelling at each other because they both got turned down by the girl, and they play dueling records at each other as like revenge. Through a wall, they're playing dueling records. The logic behind it.
I don't understand the layout of this place where doors open up into other people's beds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, how do you even get around?
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense.
One of the record players is just like this aimless, like, rock guitar solo. And the other one is like marching band music. Like, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. And then eventually that bigger guy from before comes in and just breaks all the records because he's trying to go to sleep. Although we will hear both of those records play later in the film over and over and over. Evie, the Fran Drescher character, approaches Kavell and Bergman separately for sex. Not really sex, just sort of grinding, fully clothed on the shore of the lake.
Well, I think the implication
they're implying
is sex.
that it goes all the way.
Right, but they just keep showing us the same dumb thing of them rolling around on dirt, and they're adding fly sound effects to it.
Mosquito sound effects, like they're like swatting at bugs.
It just sounds like they're rolling around in shit. Like, that's what it sounds like. When you put flies in there, it's like, is this literally a pile of manure that they're fucking in? Because otherwise, what is the point of this? But she just says the same thing to both of them, like, as she's finishing, like, oh yeah, no, I just wanted to have sex with a legend. And they're like, oh, was I a legend? Oh, you were a minor epic. And then she says the same thing to the next guy, like playing them off of each other because she just enjoys having sex, but the two of them both think like, oh, I tricked this girl into having sex with me.
Yeah.
But they don't know that she had sex with both of them yet.
But also, I'm still struggling at this point to tell these two apart.
Right.
And so the fact that this
You're just like,
scene
"Did
just
this back
happened
up?"
identically twice, I'm like, did we just... I don't know where I'm at.
I thought that, like, it skipped.
Yeah.
And I was like, is this the same scene? And I just, watching it again, is like, oh, no, it's slightly different.
Yeah.
But not enough different to
Yeah.
have me care.
Yeah. Kavell and Bergman go into the room where everyone's sleeping in the middle of the night on the top floor of the cabin, and they drop like a barbell. It barely makes a sound, but somehow everyone sits up like they fired a gun, which would have been much funnier if they just walked in and fired a gun.
Which they have.
Yeah, they have lots of guns, and the Dennis Quaid character is with them, and we've established that he has weapons galore. Like, he should have just thrown a bomb in the middle of the room. But instead they drop a fairly silent piece of exercise equipment. They introduce what I think is supposed to be the point of the movie. I don't know. They say that there's a contest.
Right.
They never get much more specific than that it's a contest between the upstairs and the downstairs waiters.
Right.
And they get a trophy if they win.
Yeah. They're calling it a war, and the trophy is like
it looks like Walrus.
It's the bust of the guy that runs the camp,
Right. And
which they call Walrus.
Yeah, Wallman, Walrus. But they never say what the contest is. They just say it's a war.
Right.
Like, what is winning?
What
mean?
is how do you
is
win?
losing?
Because when you say the word war, what I think is that means like physical combat. And they say the rule is there are no rules except for no physical contact. Mm-hmm. It's like, what are we doing? Is this like tantric lovemaking contest? I don't understand what the contest is. They never get more specific than it's a contest between us and them. It's like, are you trying to rack up more tips? Are you trying to get, find more? Are you trying to like hurt people? Like, they never explain what this contest is for the whole rest of the movie. And we never see it. We never see what this
we see
contest
it,
is.
but we don't know who wins or why.
I never saw it. I don't know if you saw it. I didn't see it.
I saw it.
I watched this movie twice now, and I never saw the contest. I don't know what the contest was.
Well, they were just doing crappy things to each other.
But how do you win that?
I don't know. We don't know what the rules are. Oh, wait, there are no rules.
There's no rules except for there can be no physical contact.
There's no way to win because there are no rules.
But the only competing that we see them doing is just physically fighting with each other, which is a violation of the only rule. So I don't know what the contest is or how you determine a winner. It's a battle, but there's no physical contact. So I have no idea what that means. The kids all get together and they watch I Was a Teenage Werewolf, which is the best footage in the whole film. It's the best shot sequence.
Yeah.
It is.
Mostly because Walrus gets freaked out.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah, he gets freaked out when the girl is going to get attacked by the werewolf.
But you're saying that the movie within the movie is the best footage in the
Oh,
whole
Yes,
yes.
the
film.
black and
okay.
white footage
Yeah.
of the werewolf is
So
the
the
most
stuff
convincing
that
cinematography.
they didn't shoot was the best
Yes.
shot stuff.
There's some other good shots later.
oh yeah, there's a really good shot later.
Grossman dresses like a werewolf and wakes everybody up at night. That's hilarious because he hired a makeup artist to come and do a whole werewolf makeup on him so he could look like the character in the movie. When no one would even be able to see it because the lights never come on.
Yep.
They would just assume it's fucking Grossman howling for no reason in the middle of the night.
Which he would probably be prone to do.
Right. But he does it enough that he scares Kavell into jumping out of a window and breaking his leg. So now there's a very slight, temporary, and uninteresting difference between Kavell and Bergman. One of them is on crutches for a couple scenes. Plays no part in any of those scenes that he's on crutches now. I don't know if the actor hurt himself on set and they wrote this scene to explain it. Grossman rides a fucking horse around the cabin to rile up the troops of the downstairs area for the contest that's coming up. That some kind of a contest that we still haven't gotten into and won't. Suddenly, a kitchen Olympics is happening, and the wino is drinking 4 bottles of liquor. It's the kind of Olympics where there's only one person participating.
And it's all sped up.
But I feel bad for this actor
because pouring all over him.
Yeah, he's not drinking most of it. But this guy, you can tell just based on continuity from his shirt that he actually drank all 4 of these bottles in a row. But they, instead of showing him drink a bottle and then cutting away to a reaction shot and letting him recover to drink from the next bottle, like, They let it run on him drinking all 4 bottles, but then they cut in all this reaction footage that it's like, it's no longer impressive that he drank 4 bottles because you were cutting away the whole time. So you could have been giving him time off, but he's clearly not getting time off because he's pouring more than half of each bottle down his chest. And I don't even know what these bottles are because they're all different colors.
Right.
But yeah, that happens for some reason, and then it's over.
They sneak into the girls' cabin in one scene and like threaten them.
Yeah.
And this is like one of the first like of many raids they call it. Now I get like the panty raid of the, you know, but
that's a heist situation. You're sneaking in and you're taking something.
Yeah,
you're not threatening anybody.
You're not threatening and like physically trying to like.
Also not acceptable, but the point is that it's more acceptable than what's going on here. But at least Tony is just going in and saying, "Hey, Judy, you want to leave with me?" And she's like, "Yeah, let's go," and just make out somewhere. The rest of the guys basically scare all these girls into waking up in the middle of the night. They basically were just in there to rape the 12 again. And
one of the many attempted rapes in this movie.
This is the first attempted rape in this comedy about attempted rape. Maybe that's what it is. It's a comedy about attempted rape. And the contest is whoever can rape the most people. That's the hilarious contest between the upstairs and downstairs. But yeah, so this is happening.
Walrus gets mad and finds them, and they're all, "We're going to get back at that guy for finding us for breaking the rules by going into the cabin of the girls and threatening them." It's like, I'm on Walrus's side.
Yeah, that's the problem. And it's not just because like I'm an old man now. Like I feel like I still like, even at the time I would have been like, no, like that's a huge liability and you should all be fired.
Yeah, and he even says, "I invited you two back against my better judgment." It's just like I thought, are they on friendly terms?
Yeah.
Like you know, they wanted to come back and he was considering it and they talked him into it. It's like, what is the relationship here? But then they clearly don't like him because then they fill his house up with farm animals.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the other thing is when they wake up all the girls, like Grossman is literally saying like, "I'm going to murder all of you."
Yeah.
So everyone shut up and don't say anything about what happened here. They laugh about it on their way out. But then, yeah, the next day they get fined, which is a pretty light punishment for what they did.
Right. And we'll come to understand how they get fined because he said the girls didn't tell them.
Right.
So there is a semi-plot reveal later of how they keep getting in trouble for all these things.
Yeah, it's the big twist ending.
Yeah, it's marvelous.
But yeah, they let a bunch of animals into Walrus's room in the night as their revenge on him.
And why is his wife there? Do they live on the camp?
I guess they do, but it just felt like this was trying to be that scene in Animal House where they put the horse in the dean's office or whatever. But it's not funny. There's also a lot of like animal torture stuff in this movie.
Yeah, there's a scene where in the kitchen, I don't know which scene it is, but a guy is like wrestling a chicken, and it's obviously an actual live chicken, and he is not treating this chicken well.
Yeah, he's just yanking it around by a wing. Yeah, that's basically the next scene. They put animals in his room. Wino abuses a live chicken. So those 2 story points are right in a row. Hilarious religious guy says, "Let there be orgies," which is a callback to earlier when he said, "Let there be bosoms." Mm-hmm. It's not even a different joke.
But also, what is he referring to? There are no orgies in this film.
Yeah, and also, so he says, "Let there be orgies." Into the camera, directly into the camera, and then he turns and runs away, and the hilarious reveal is that he's completely naked.
Yeah.
And then a disembodied voice says, "Who was that masked man?" But he wasn't wearing a mask.
He wasn't wearing anything.
So they should have pointed the camera at the masked man so we could help that voice find out who it was. But instead we're looking at Bible Louie be weird. Grossman tries to spy on the other team, and they keep blowing a trumpet at the wall wherever he's listening to them. Mm-hmm. He's literally got like a stethoscope to the wall to listen to their plan for the contest. What are they going to do for the contest? They never explain what the contest is. I wanted it to be like flower arrangement at the end. But no, we never find out. The wino fights with himself in like the corner of a room, like he's pretending to play cards against himself.
Yeah, during the big poker game where they invite Lobster and the Stephen First character.
I didn't even want to take notes on the poker game because I don't know why it's happening.
Yeah,
they keep cutting back to poker being played.
I stopped taking notes. I have unfortunately committed much of the movie to memory.
Oh God!
and I was like,
so angry that I memorized the movie.
Yeah, it's like, you made me pay money for this movie, Patrick. But
this is $6 to rent on Amazon Prime, by the way. Don't do it. Don't bother. If you only get this far into the podcast, I want you to know this is a 3-down movie.
We wasted $12 whole on this
Yes.
because we rented it.
And I'm going to have to rent it again because I kind of want to see it again. No, that's not going to happen.
No.
Ever. I got all the sound clips I need before our 48-hour rental window ran out. We're done. We're done ever thinking about this movie as soon as I hit stop on this record.
Have we touched on the challenge that Evie gives the guys?
Not yet.
Both the guys have to sleep with one person, but she only has to sleep with one other person.
Well,
and they have to pick who it is.
Yeah, it started as they were saying we could get any girl we wanted because she says I could have any guy I wanted, and then it turns into I'll make you have sex with someone who you don't want to have sex with.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, well, you have to have sex with the rabbi. And the rabbi's like, not that much older than them. Decent looking guy.
And really
seems
kind of
nice.
depressed.
Yeah. And then she's like, okay, you guys have to have sex with Bertha the nurse. Big nurse Bertha. And they're like, oh, God, I don't know why we entered this contest. And it's like, yeah, I don't know why I rented this movie. Like,
Yeah.
we're both very disappointed right now.
I guess we better drug her and rape her.
Yeah.
I know.
So, yeah. First, though, we get the Fran scene. So she goes, the Fran scene. 'Cause her name is Francine. She flirts with the rabbi, and it seems like she's making some romantic progress. The guys break into Nurse Bertha's room and put a bunch of drugs in the water next to her nightstand. And then when she drinks it, they just climb on top of her and try to fuck her in her sleep.
Yep.
Which is the second and third attempted rape in this movie.
Yeah, but I was like, and their plan is you start at the top, I'll start at the bottom, we'll meet in the middle.
We'll meet in the
does
middle.
that
What does that mean? Our meats are going to touch in the middle. It's very, very gross and weird.
And what he's starting at the top. He's gonna rape her in the face. Like,
It's not
what is
even
happening?
weird enough that this is happening, that they're just climbing all over this woman in this bed. But there's 2 other guys at the window just watching it.
Yeah.
Just rape watching.
And then she wakes up, and first she resists, and then I guess she's kind of into it.
But then they're all fighting instead of having sex. The guys go to meet with Irvington, who is this like preppy coach guy that they have at their restaurant all the time that they're waiters for, and he keeps telling them that they're going to have some game they're going to play against each other, and he wants to turn the whole camp into like an athletic camp. Mm-hmm. And he's going to get them jobs there basically. So he's telling them updates about how his conversations with Walrus have gone, and how he's right on the edge of convincing him to turn this whole camp into an athletic camp. This is not an interesting subplot or anything. It doesn't pay off at all.
Well,
It's sort of.
I wouldn't call it a payoff, but
No.
there's a reveal.
But we have no vested interest in this becoming an athletic camp. We don't even like the 2 characters who we're supposed to identify with. We hate them, actually. They are attempted rapists, and probably successful rapists prior to this summer.
Yeah, as opposed to Fran Drescher, who's...
She didn't rape anybody. It was all consenting.
He
on
was
her
fully
side.
willing.
Yeah. Their pickup line is plunk. That's their pickup line. Their first move is to drug the girl every time, and it's obnoxious, and it's bad writing also. That's the really offensive part, is the bad writing. But Sharp finds them at the bar. Sharp is like their boss of the cabin, and he's like, okay, well, it's after curfew, and you guys are drinking here at a bar. This is not okay, so everybody has to go home. Walrus finds out that they were at the bar and hits them with a second harsher fine. And they're like, oh, well, that means we just have to piss him off even more. Mm-hmm. And guess what's coming up? Parents' Day. So the parents show up. Judy's parents get out of the car to talk to Rosanna Arquette. Apparently they already know about her new Puerto Rican boyfriend.
Yeah.
She's already talked to them about it. And she's like, oh, he's really great. I think you'll like him. And her mom just says,
darling, he's a veritable monkey. Mom. And he's a poor monkey at that.
Mama! Yeah.
Just immediately, like, first thing out of her mouth when she gets out of the car.
And he's standing right there.
Yeah. And so he walks up and he, like, leans into his accent because he's trying to piss off her parents. And he's like, oh, yeah, the way she talks about you, I thought you were going to be a big fat mess, but you're very pretty. And
he's throwing her under the bus in this situation.
Yeah.
He should have said, I pictured you to be this big fat
But
thing.
also, like, why would you picture her that way unless you're throwing her under the bus anyway? He should have just walked up and been like, "You're ugly." But he doesn't do that. The parents all sit down to a film. And
what a wonderful film.
Yes. It turns out that...
The second best piece of footage captured in this movie.
The second best footage here. I don't know what this is from. Because IMDb actually listed... I Was a Teenage Werewolf.
I want that film title.
Yeah. I need to know what this movie is because there's so many strings that they leave.
for research.
I can't just, I can't sit on this cliffhanger. But yeah, it's porn. That's what they end up watching. The joke is great because you see it coming a mile away and they don't turn it off. That's how long this dick is. No.
But I like it's like, oh, this is the wrong film. This is the wrong films. It's like, then turn it off.
Yeah, instead of getting the way or like unplugging the machine, it's just like, this isn't what we normally watch. Anyway.
You know what would have been a funny
seat.
joke? If the rabbi would have stepped in front of the projector to try to block it, but then the boobs would have been on his shirt.
Oh my god, that'd have been great.
That would have been a joke.
Oh man, this movie could have been so funny.
This movie could have had one joke in it.
Yeah. All right, are we fucking pitching a remake of Gorp right
now? No, we're
happening?
not. It's not happening.
The kitchen staff drugs everyone. They give speed to everyone.
Yeah.
They intended to only give it to some people, but they accidentally gave it to other people. I don't care. I don't care who they give the drugs to. Everyone's been acting like they were on speed the whole time already. So it changes nothing that everyone's on drugs now. Like, I feel so sorry for the actors when the director was like, okay, do what you've been doing before, but pretend you're on speed now. And it's like, are you kidding? I almost had a heart attack just acting like I was just standing there meeting a person. Now I have to act even crazier. It's not interesting, and a food fight breaks out.
Yeah.
And they just throw food away.
And once again, milk in the hair.
Ugh.
Just like little darlings. It's like, no, not in the hair. I don't like this.
Richard had a traumatic milk hair experience when he was a kid.
I like milk, but milk on my person.
Like how much
milk
you're bothered
on my
by
person.
Yeah.
Sounds weird. Don't get milk on my person. Grossman rallies the troops again. He tells them that the other guys are planning to break all the rules, even though there are no rules. Then we get another pointless poker scene. Suddenly, we're in the cabin at night, and all the guys are masturbating at the same time. Isn't that funny? One guy starts masturbating, and then another guy notices he's masturbating, and that makes him hot, thinking about his friend masturbating.
Gross.
So he starts masturbating.
That's how guys work.
If I'm at the office and I
like
see somebody
sneezing.
yawn, I start to yawn.
Yawning.
But if I see someone jerking off, I can't help it.
Oh, God.
I just got to go
Stop
out.
it.
But this is a different kind of masturbation. It's not the typical, you look like you're having a seizure in a locker masturbating. This is some weird, like, humping masturbating. Like you're humping your hand or something. I don't get it. What I do is I shake in a locker.
Well, but one of them is the Quaid character's like humping his bomb in his bed.
Yeah, probably. That sounds like something they would tell him to do at the last second before they started recording. Every single joke in this movie feels like they wrote it in the moment. Like I wouldn't be surprised to learn that this entire film was like a long form improv.
That is a disservice to improv. Do not say that.
That's what it felt like. It just felt like every single joke was being made up on the spot because none of them pay off and it doesn't go anywhere. That's the difference, is that long form comedy, long form improv pays off. There's like long running punchlines. But nothing here is funny. The guys find Grossman with a truck full of munitions, and he gets real like Dylan Klebold here.
Yeah.
He's like,
I'm telling you, boys, this is going to be a very memorable war. There's going to be blood on the buildings.
and he's just like straight up like, I'm going to murder all the other people in our cabin. That's what the contest is. It's a literal war. The guys go to meet with Irvington again and find out that he, not Sharp, has been reporting them. So every time Walrus got mad, it wasn't because Sharp, who we don't care about and is barely in the movie.
I think I remember him one time.
Yeah. But this other character who we don't care about has been reporting. This is mind-blowing to them, but they forgive him instantly.
But it's what gets him into Walrus's good graces in order to change the camp over to an athletics camp.
Right. Which is apparently actually happening. But the scene where he tells them this is so weird.
Where he's jumping up on the bed?
Yeah. Like, the scene starts with him. He's already, like, standing up on the top of a couch, and he's holding a big bottle of wine. He says, yeah, he's gonna make it an athletic camp. And they're like, oh, okay, that's good. And he's like, yeah, it's gonna be great. Like, the whole scene, he's screaming like
every
there's a
scene
jet
is screaming.
taking off.
Every scene.
This is the worst of it, though. This is, like, the most obnoxious, like, the most... I don't understand why they're all shouting like this, and they're pretending to be very excited. Like, I feel like they must have done this scene 100 times before they got to this take, because it felt like, no, more energy. The scene is really boring unless you're screaming. But he just keeps screaming about it, and then they kind of decide, the guys decide, okay, well, this guy's the one who told on us. He's the reason we got fined. And it's like, well, no, Walrus is still the reason you got fined, because he's the one who fined you. And even further back, you're the reason you got fined because you broke the rules constantly and cost the camp money. But instead, they decide that they're going to take out their revenge on Irvington. So, as revenge, they rig this massive track that no one can see until it goes off.
Yeah.
They hook him in the middle of the restaurant while they're serving people, and it lifts him off of the bench above everyone eating their food, swings him across the room toward a banner with a painting of a butt on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then confetti shoots everywhere. And he seems very upset about it. But I'm sure that after this shot, they would have just let him down.
Yeah.
And that would have been their revenge?
I guess that
we lifted you for a second. Take that. You fined us hundreds of dollars, our entire paychecks for the whole summer, but we lifted you for a second. And there was a painting of a butt and everything. Isn't that much more embarrassing than what you did to us? No, it's not. It's dumb. Nerd and Fat use neighboring toilets.
Mm-hmm.
Fat doesn't know how to use toilet paper. That's the joke here, I think.
Yeah, because the toilet paper just keeps coming out.
He pulls the toilet paper roll, and he just keeps pulling it off and acting panicked, like he doesn't know how to control his arms. I don't know what the joke is here.
Well, the toilet paper is just shooting out. Like,
Yeah.
he's not even
just
touching
pulling it off of the roll.
No, he's not. Like, I mean, it's shooting out even when he's not touching it. So,
I think that's because he yanked on it.
yeah, I think that's what they're implying is what he did, but like they definitely have some sort of effect happening here where there's like a blower behind it, like shooting the paper out or something.
But he seems really panicked, like he's going to get in trouble for wasting a roll of toilet paper in this room where people are setting off bombs and stuff and nobody
I think
cares.
somebody had a really great idea to stick a leaf blower behind this thing and create some sort of effect, and they didn't know how to use it, so they just stuck a guy in a stall.
They
and
were
said,
like, is this funny?
No. Great, put it in the film.
Yeah. The guys try to rape number 12 again.
Yep.
They
This time they actually get their pants off.
Yeah. And the lights come on and they just skip out with stuffed animals over their dicks. Nerd and Fat go back to the bar looking for hookers. They've decided they're going to hire a hooker because their friends are so horny and they keep failing at rape. So they're like, what if we paid someone for you to rape? Like consensual rape. What's it called again? Sex. So they go to the bar and they go to just the first girl they see and they say, hey, are you a hooker? And her date turns around and is like, what did you just say? And then to punish these two guys for calling his girlfriend a hooker,
They get him drunk.
They give him a bunch of free drinks and then send him out of the bar in their underwear.
Where they find a hooker.
They crash headlong into a hooker standing on the corner. And they're like, hey, are you a hooker? You should come back with us. And she's like, okay, great. So they're driving the truck full of bombs back to the camp and they crash it and it explodes. All the fireworks in the back are going off, and this indicates to everyone in the cabin that the war is on, that the contest has officially begun. They rush to fight each other because
They barricade themselves in first.
right, but it seems to be the point is that they're going to fight each other.
Right.
But the only rule of this contest was no physical contact. So I don't know what the contest was supposed to be if it wasn't physical contact. But they go to fight each other, but right as the two teams are clashing, the girls rush in because they've decided they're going to interrupt the fight and get revenge for the constant attempted rape perpetuated by two characters from this movie. The toy bomb that Dennis Quaid has been fucking this whole time shorts out. And he's like, oh, it doesn't work? It was just a dumb prop? And there's no punchline to it. It never goes off. And then he decides, you know what? This means war. I'm going to go get something. We have this really weird line from Steinberg, who runs to go hide in his bathroom stall. And this is what I was talking about, where we're dubbing over him now. and there's explosions going off all around him, and something whizzes past in front of him, and then he goes, and then he goes back into his bathroom stall. Fran and the big guy get into an argument downstairs. He puts her into a locker, and then he throws the locker out the window.
The masturbation locker?
The masturbation locker. Ugh. And then, when she gets thrown out the window in the locker, she says,
yeah, that made no sense.
It's just like,
oh, that's great.
No, it's funny because the director understands how women work. Is that I read somewhere that they get periods. Well, usually only when inopportune moments, like getting thrown out of a window in a locker.
In a masturbation locker. Yeah, right. That would definitely bring it on.
Grossman comes back in a tank, and he drives it through a wall into the building and almost kills an extra in this scene.
Yes.
It's very clearly not a fake tank.
It really comes through that wall crazy.
Yeah. It's a slow motion shot. And it's clearly a full-size real tank. And I found this on IMDb. I have no way to prove that it's real, but I think that this would be a lot of work to make up a factoid for this obscure of a movie. This is from one of the reviews of Gorp on IMDb. I owned and drove the M5 Stewart tank in the movie Gorp, actually written in all capital letters. There were lots of interesting stories that I recall from the filming, but the one that stands out in my mind was when I drove through the house, a prop built for the movie. We were to receive a radio message as when to stop, but it never came. I could see nothing out the vision port, and finally decided to slap on the brakes and stop. Had I continued one more foot, I would have crushed one of the stunt people that was to have jumped out the windows, but didn't. So all these characters were supposed to pile out of the windows. They didn't, and the tank almost crushed this woman because of it.
Oh my God.
He says, amazingly, the big concern was that I came within inches of one of their very expensive Panavision cameras. The movie people said they could always get another stunt girl, but cameras were expensive. All in all, I was treated great by the movie people, and I left with many good stories. Several best left untold.
Wow.
So that's pretty incredible.
Track
by the way,
that guy down.
This guy worked on the movie and thinks he was treated well by the movie people and gave it a 5 out of 10 star review. So yeah, that's the tank goes through the wall. Basically, they just all go to Walrus's cabin and say, "Hey, guess what? We quit."
Yeah,
and they moon him from the bus.
And flash. There's
one girl is flashing him as punishment,
and then while another guy is sucking on one of her breasts.
Right. So one of her boobs is covered by her shirt.
I rewound it and made sure several times.
Yeah. No, I literally did, because in this whole movie, there's only one pair of boobs, and it's in the porn that they're watching. Because when this girl is flashing, her shirt is covering one boob, and this guy's sucking on the other boob. So there's literally no original boob footage in this whole movie.
Yeah.
I think the pinup. There's some pinups.
Well, when he licks the piece of paper on the wall.
That's not original. That existed before this. That was published before this film came out.
Yeah.
I'm talking OC tits. There's nothing in this movie. Like, if you're gonna make this movie and it's gonna be this bad, you have to at least put 4 pairs of boobs in it. It has to at least have 4 pairs of boobs to warrant ever being rented by anyone. But there's no excuse to rent this movie.
So you need 3 or more boobs.
3 or more boobs.
Oh, I thought we were talking pairs. You're just talking individual.
No, individual. Boob. That's his adjustment to what I was making.
That's why Total Recall is automatic.
Yeah, it's a good rental, solid rental option. They all moon Wallman, and then Federman walks him back to the house and sees that it's destroyed.
Yeah, he says, "I can't tell you. You have to see it."
It's like, you could just tell me right here. It also doesn't matter because everyone already left. So the camp is destroyed. Like, I can't serve anyone any food. I have to cancel this summer, and everyone's leaving.
I can't remember why, but I had turned subtitles on, I think, for a couple of scenes to make sure I could understand exactly what people were saying.
Helpful, for sure.
When Huddleston sees the broken cabin, it just says in brackets, "building screaming." And I was like, building screaming? Oh, he's building the screen. It's like, but I was like,
I like that.
It's building screen.
Like the person, like, I'm writing these subtitles, but don't tell anybody. I'm deaf. Is this building screaming? Because it looks like its mouth is open.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put building scream. This movie sucks.
Yeah.
Director Joseph Ruben also directed Dreamscape, The Good Son, and Money Train.
What? Some of those are good movies.
Yeah.
Dreamscape also with Dennis Quaid.
Yeah. Writer Jeffrey Konvitz. This was his third and last screenplay after Silent Night, Bloody Night, and The Sentinel. He has produced in a lot of different genres, including a pair of lesser Leslie Nielsen parodies, Spy Hard and 2001: A Space Travesty, both of which are not worthy of renting either. Yeah. The other writer, A. Martin Zweiback, this was his second to last writing credit before Grace Quigley. Kavell, one of the two conjoined lead actors, is played by Michael Lembeck, who directed the second and third Santa Claus movies. Mm-hmm. Also a crapload of television, 24 episodes of Friends, a bunch of other NBC primetime sitcoms. Dennis Quaid was Mad Bobby Grossman. You know him from Day After Tomorrow. He's also in Frequency, Inner Space, and he's the brother of Randy from Foxes, and both will be back for Long Riders.
The Right Stuff, and
this is the real Right Stuff. This movie.
I like him in Pandorum, even though he was probably really drunk. It seems.
I don't know Pandorum.
Pandorum, no, oh, it's good.
Okay.
Him and Ben Foster.
I like Ben Foster, particularly in Flash Forward. I wonder if that's on Disney Plus. I bet it is.
Yeah.
I have to look that up. Philip Casnoff played Bergman. He played Sinatra in a 92 miniseries called Sinatra. He also played Nikolai Stanislavski on Oz, and he still works pretty regularly for some reason. Fran Drescher was Evie. She was obviously the nanny.
Right. That was her big thing.
She was Eunice in Hotel Transylvania, the wife of the Frankenstein character.
She was really cute in this movie.
She's adorable. I've always liked Fran Drescher.
Yeah, I mean, she's known for playing this obnoxious character and kind of over-the-top look, but, like, in this movie, she was just adorable.
I honestly feel like she's just like the female Gilbert Gottfried. Like, people just use her as a voice joke, but she's a very funny person.
Like if you were going to make Jessica Jones in the early 80s, Fran Drescher would probably have been
she'd be great. She was also in Beautician and the Beast with Timothy Dalton.
I liked her. She a very small part in Dr. Detroit with Dan Aykroyd.
Oh, okay. I don't know that one.
It's not like, it's a little bit like Night Shift in that a guy ends up being the pimp for all these ladies of the evening and has to create
There was a
persona.
lot of pimp comedies in the 80s.
But yeah, she is one of the ladies.
David Huddleston was Walrus Wallman. Obviously, he's the titular Big Lebowski. He was also Olson Johnson in Blazing Saddles. We had Lou Wagner as Federman. He played Savannah Shorty in Baltimore Bullet. He was on Raising Hope with Me. He was Lucius in the original Planet of the Apes, Busboy in Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, and Skylar Schultz in Airport. Julius Harris was Fred the Chef. He plays Teehee in Live and Let Die.
Yeah, I don't...
The character's called Teehee because he's literally going like laughing the whole time, but he gets unceremoniously killed very quickly by the Roger Moore character. That was Roger Moore's first Bond movie. He played Bone in the 76 King Kong. He was Gravedigger in Darkman, and he played Inspector Daniels in the original Pelham 123. Deborah Richter was Barbara. I don't remember which character was Barbara, one of the girls. She was also Candy in Midnight Madness. That was one of Leon's two henchmen ladies that were like helping him hand out all the equipment for the beginning of the contest. Speaking of Eddie Deason and Stephen Furst. Rosanna Arquette was Judy. She was Jody in Pulp Fiction. Roberta Glass in Desperately Seeking Susan. Marcy in After Hours, and my favorite role from her was Wendy Balsam in Buffalo 66, where she's like the high school crush of the main character, and so he gives Christina Ricci that name, and then they actually see her at a diner later that night, and she's like, oh, that's crazy, that's my name. Like, doesn't know that she's literally named after that person. Dale Robinette was Irvington. He is a stills photographer, and he works pretty regularly. He has like 8 huge movies every year, but some of the bigger ones, La La Land, The Avengers, Donnie Darko, so He's all over the place. Otis Day was Sweet Mo. We said before he changed his name to the character he played in Animal House, and we just had him 6 days ago in our previous film, Where the Buffalo Roam.
So he was credited here as Dwayne Jesse.
Correct. In both movies.
Yeah.
But his name is now Otis Day on IMDb. Peter Mark Jacobson played Steinberg. He was Fran Drescher's husband at the time. And he was a writer on The Nanny. He was also a writer on Happily Divorced, a show that Fran started hosting 14 years after they divorced. John Riley played Don Sharp. Not a lot of credits I recognize, but he's the voice of Hawkeye and Clint Barton, who are obviously the same character, on the Iron Man animated series in the 90s.
In the 90s, yeah. Did you mention Robert Trebor?
No,
I couldn't remember if you had...
Nope.
He played the rabbi.
Okay.
I know him mostly from reoccurring characters on Hercules and Xena.
Oh, okay.
From the 90s. He played Salmonius. So I was always excited when I saw him. He's also in a really bizarre movie with Roy Scheider called 52 Pickup. And he was in Hail Caesar pretty recently.
Oh, okay.
He was the producer of the movie.
Hail Caesar. I think I did see that credit, yeah.
He's a pretty funny, interesting guy because his voice is very much that voice.
Yeah.
But Hercules and Xena was my big go-to.
It's good stuff. Jess, up or down?
Big down. As down as it can go.
Richard.
That's way down there, down in the boiler room.
Down below. 6 feet under the ground below. Yeah, this is a down. Down for me. Richard, why don't you kick off the low
this is well below the Windows threshold. Oh, God, I'm struggling of how far down to put it. Because it's down there. It might be my third worst. So it comes just before Serial and after Private Eyes.
Is that above Serial or below Serial?
So it's above Serial.
Above Serial, okay. And below Private Eyes.
Correct.
Jess.
So this is second from last for me, I think.
Okay. Above Nothing Personal?
Above Nothing Personal.
Same here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's rough, man.
Which, I just want to point this out. This was the nail in the coffin for American International Pictures. Mm-hmm. Of my bottom 4 movies, 3 of them are American International films. Which is crazy because the 4th film that we've covered so far, of the 4, is Mad Max, which is in 5th place for me. So I have 1 at the very top and 3 in my bottom 4, with Defiance, Nothing Personal, and Gorp, which are all garbage movies that they clearly didn't care when they were making. But Baltimore Bullet's also in my bottom 4. So that doesn't speak a lot for the actor who played Savannah Shorty in Baltimore Bullet and Federman here, because he's in 2 of my bottom 3 movies. But they're bad. They're bad movies, and they deserve to feel bad for being bad. I think that's everything for this one. If you have any thoughts you'd like to share, we are Vintage Video Pod on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Letterboxd, where, as I've said before, you can find each of our full movie rankings for the year. We can also be found at vintagevideopodcast.com. Please consider rating us on iTunes to help people find the show. And if you take the time to leave us a review, we will thank you personally in an upcoming episode. If you're feeling especially generous, you can also support the show through patreon.com/vintagevideopodcast. On that note, I'd like to give a special shout out to Mike Lamb for his recent iTunes review. Thanks for listening, Mike. We appreciate your comments. Because this is our first episode of the month, again, I wanted to remind our listeners about the Patreon campaign for anyone who hasn't had time to check it out. We have a couple tiers. Vintage Video will always be free to listen to, but if it's worth it to you, a donation as small as $1 a month is greatly appreciated. We are into May now. We've been doing the show for 4 months, and this is our 38th episode. We are averaging close to 10 titles a month and expect to cover about 14 a month on average over the course of the year, which means that for the $1 a month tier, you're donating 7 or 8 cents an episode. We also offer a $5 tier, about 36 cents per film, which includes a shout out on the show, a monthly exclusive episode reviewing a title from the 70s, and a hand in choosing each month's film. We've recorded 5 so far, and for June, our second tier members are choosing between 5 titles: 2 Mules for Sister Sarah, a Don Siegel Western starring Clint Eastwood and Shirley MacLaine; Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, Russ Meyer's non-sequel satirical melodrama written by Roger Ebert; Kelly's Heroes, a war/heist film starring Eastwood, Savalas, Rickles, and Donald Sutherland, and Carol O'Connor; Catch-22, the star-studded black comedy adaptation of Joseph Heller's anti-war novel, and Myra Breckenridge, a comedy adaptation of Gore Vidal's novel of the same name, starring Raquel Welch, Mae West, and John Huston, considered by many the worst film ever made. Each of which will be celebrating their 50th anniversaries this June. If this sounds like something you'd be interested in, you can find our campaign at patreon.com/vintagevideopodcast, and if not, I hope you'll at least do us the honor of continuing to listen. Thanks again, and I hope you'll join us next time when we'll be discussing Friday the 13th, which according to IMDb is about a group of camp counselors stalked and murdered by an unknown assailant while trying to reopen a summer camp where, years before, it was the site of a child's drowning and a grisly double murder. We leave you now with the trailer for Friday the 13th.
Hello? Who's that? Oh, hi. What are you doing out in this mess?
1, 2, 3.
We weren't doing anything. We were just messing up.
4. 5. 6.
'Must be my imagination.
7.
Can I help you? Hello?
8. 9. 10. 11. 12. Friday, the 13th. You may only see it once, but that will be enough. Friday, the 13th.